This conference will now be recorded.
All right, so Recorder Up is up and running. As always, everything we're talking about today is for educational purposes only. Nothing is intended as any type of investment advice. All right, so today is Wednesday, October 24th. So we only have about a week of trading left in October before we go into November. And pretty much this morning's looking like just almost everything that, the same type of deal that we've seen over the past month. Just a lot of really low volume, not too much out there that I'm seeing that gives us really, once again, that show of hand. But we do have a few things that we're going to talk about. So first we're going to be looking at is T. My biggest concern, and it's not a concern, but with T is the fact now, first of all, we're going to go over the 32 level. Now, the 32 you can see here started off this morning very, very early before 8 o'clock. We can see these sell prints that came in at that 32 level. But if we come back up, you can see almost every other time that we've been at that 32, we've got some type of buying that's been in there. So we had one over there, then we come back over here, you could see more buying, and it's had a lot of buying. So it's a very mixed level at that 32. And then on the other side of things, even though we're seeing a lot of movement in the pre-market, it does not typically move very much, okay? And that's just my biggest concern there. We are getting new selling, so that's one thing that you do want to keep in mind. So you can see right here underneath that 32 level, we just got a pretty not a decent, but a real big burst of that selling that just came back in. So it's certainly showing us new positions coming back in. My only worry right here is that range, because for a stock that only moves on average in an entire day, 46 cents, isn't going to be something that I want to spend much of my focus during the day on. So keep that in mind as we're watching. Next looking at is MU, and this is pretty much the only other thing out there that I really saw, and it's not doing much yet, but if we come back over here, you can see we did get some good selling that came in at that 38 level. And not only at the 38, but remember at 7 o'clock in the morning. So we have to look at what difficulty of trade is. If we look at the orders right this second, we can see that, they're disgusting. There's really just nothing there, nothing over 1,000, just very, very thin orders. So you have to imagine what the orders looked like at 7 o'clock in the morning. It could not have been, they could not have been very much. We have to assume that we had less orders then than we do now. So for someone to come in and be able to sell this much at that 38 level, certainly a huge difficulty of trade there that we want to pay attention to. Then at 38.25, we can see we just had another nice burst of selling right before we started our meeting. So we're pulling up based off of the selling that we've seen coming into this thing so far today. So keep in mind, as this, when we do finish this pull up, what we're going to be doing is looking for a pullback down, or trigger down, and for the real move. And if we look from yesterday, the logical price target just to start off with, would be for us to come back down to this double bottom that we saw from yesterday. It's going to end up gravitating. Now, don't get me wrong. We do have a lot more room to look at before that. We have this print line here at 38.13 and then 38.68. $1.50 on average with its move. So once again, that's what I'm going to be looking for, is once we get that trigger to end up coming back down towards that double bottom. All right. And then other than that, guys, it's a little bleak. Now, one thing I do want to point out, and it just started moving a little bit, is ACB. Not ABC, ACB. Looking over it, I know Natasha brought this up this morning. And it's making a decent little move here. Don't get me wrong. For an $8 stock, it's already almost pushed 50 cents during the pre-market. It's not a big mover. It's just something I'm going to keep on my side list, especially coming up to that 850 level. I want to see what's going to end up happening there. If we are going to get new buying that comes back in, or if we're just not going to be able to push up to it, and we're going to end up seeing this thing kind of just sell off, right? But the volume's not terrible. For what a cheaper, an $8 stock or so, and how low the volume actually is in the pre-market right now, volume's not terrible at all. It's just going to be a matter of getting that new buying. And we were getting new buying on our way up. There's no problem there, but I do definitely want to see what's going to happen at that 850 level. All right, let's take a look at our scanners. Let's see if anything new came out. We can see, it's not a lot going on. So TRVG, absolutely no trading going on. I have no interest in it. VTVT, we've traded this before, and we've seen some nice moves in it. It actually did jump up on some pretty decent volume. It just looks like it pretty much just stopped trading. But we do have some prints coming in at that 4 level right here, so we would expect it to end up falling down once the market opens before we would see any type of real move coming back up. So far, you can see it's just kind of a little bit of stop and start. But you know what? It's the pre-market, and it's to be expected with everything else we're seeing. So I'm going to be looking for that to fall underneath, but certainly something that we will keep our eye, because we've seen this thing move before. We've seen some really really nice movement within it. So we'll take a look. ACB, we've already talked about. Cron is moving a little bit, but not doing anything special that I'm going to be paying much attention to. Coming over FCX, absolutely nothing. And then Siri is on the gainers list, which not going to be trading that. Moving over to the loser side of things, we have Tops. So Tops actually made a move earlier this morning, a little bit. I mean, not much of a move, but then it just pretty much sold off. So nothing we're going to be able to do with that. STM. STM's not horrible. I was looking at this before, but again, you know, I know what I'm going to end up doing, and we're going to end up focusing on something that just has a better range. I mean, it moves 40 cents on average. It's already moved a lot compared to what it typically does. So I just don't have, there's better stuff for us to look at. I'd rather wait for an everyday stock to give us a show of hand than really focus on that. TXN, absolutely nothing going on. MT, nothing there either. And then T, we've already spoken about. All right, so coming over, one other thing that I do want to talk about, and it's actually happening as we're talking, but remember, CGC guys had some really nice buying 2 times that came in at that 42 level. So we're already, you know, kind of up past it. But you can see, I mean, there's really hasn't been any type of selling as it's got close to there. Everything on the bigger side of things has been buying. So keep that in mind as well. I'm certainly going to be, you know, keeping that one on my list for this morning. Twitter and Tesla. Well, Twitter is doing nothing whatsoever this morning. Did I put it in wrong? I don't know, for some reason it's taking forever. Okay. Yeah, Twitter's not doing anything. From yesterday, I mean, there was a little bit of buying that we saw coming back into it. It made a decent move, but then the rest of the day, it just got stuck in this really ugly consolidation. Overall, we got some really big prints yesterday. So right here, I'm going to be bullish above 28.77 and bearish below at this point because there's just nothing there for us to really go on this morning. And then Tesla made a nice move towards that upside. As obviously we can see, but you know, we had some prints at 303 here that, you know, the stock is actually pulling back from 305. I mean, it's another one. There's just not really much going on there. And, you know, it's a $300 stock, probably not going to be my main focus coming into this morning unless nothing else happens. But you can see just a little bit of a mix. There's, you know, decent buying at 303. That's pretty much the most that I see coming into there off of this. But other than that, it looks like mostly everything else is kind of, you know, it is just a mix. This selling right here, even though it's 303.33 and it's not at an actual level or anything, that's another, you know, that's an interesting position, an interesting selling spot for somebody to come back out of it. So I don't see anything really new buying that shows us that this thing has to continue back up yet. We're still expecting an overall move to around the high 60s for XQ. I'm just hoping we have some down before their earnings. Absolutely. Remember, the prints are still there. Okay, the prints have not disappeared because the stock went up. We have to be under the assumption that somebody is always going, that the market makers are always going to be making their money. And there's a lot of selling underneath in this thing that has not been satisfied. So absolutely, that game plan has not changed at all. Anything in CAT? Probably. Let's take a look. CAT's not really something I focus on too much, but let's take a look. So we have one print at 120. No, not really. It's really not doing anything this morning. It's traded 58,000 shares. CAT, you know, it's on, you know, it's going to be a stock that you could trade. You're going to get, you know, prints that come back up into it. And remember, you know, it typically is going to follow exactly what the market shows. Yesterday it made that nice move. We had those prints at 120. We ended up getting a real nice push all the way up to that 122.50, but I didn't see what happened at that actual level if we have prints back up there. And this morning, just not giving us enough. Yeah, I was just thinking, that's Rich, your reassurance gives me a laugh. All right, guys, anything else out there that I missed? Unfortunately, as always, I do not sadly know. Yeah, I mean, when you get Siri coming onto your gainers list, you know what? We're going to have to spend some time early this morning finding something that comes in. But remember, we have the selling in MU at 38, so that's certainly, you know, a good spot to start with. All right, guys, I will talk to everyone in the chat room, and happy trading.